Hi, welcome to axolotl.com for another tutorial on AequilibraE version 0.3. So in the previous video, we created a network from a shapefile, from a link layer, creating the centroid, the nodes layer, and adding the node information to the links, A node and B node for each link. So now we need to add centroids and centroid connectors to our network. As we had before, we had the Sydney network here in Australia, and I got from the Bureau of Statistics, the Australian Bureau of Statistics, this level of aggregation called SA2, which for Sydney has about 390, a little more than 390 zones, which makes for a good exercise. So first thing, we need to create centroids from this area layer, and let's do that. I could have done this before, but I think this is useful for transportation modelers, planners that want to use QGIS. So let's go ahead and do it with the node layer, with the area layer, the zoning layer added to QGIS. We can go to vector, geometry tools, polygon centroids, geometry tools, polygon centroids. This is our polygon layer, our zoning layer. We're gonna save to a file, Sydney centroids from SA2. Yes, gonna run. It's done. You see the little purple dots. They have the same color, so let's change to something a little bit more dramatic, so you know exactly where they are. There you go. Now we have to add join the network centroid layer in the node layer, and we have to add the centroid connectors to our link layer. Let's do that using AequilibraE. If we go to the centroid layer and we ask for the attribute table, we're going to see the ID field is properly done with growing with an increasing ID number from 1 to 393. In this case, our IDs for our nodes start in 1001 as we had done using AequilibraE with the network preparation tool. So let's go and add centroid connectors to our network. So AequilibraE, network manipulation, adding connectors. That's the menu directions. Those are the menu. That's the direction for the proper tool. So our network is the Sydney network, and we're going to create a new one. So let's call it this final line layer, or let's call this something different. Final Sydney network. The nodes layer is this nodes layer. ID is the ID field is the actual field. So final Sydney node layer. Final Sydney nodes. That's if you only want to connect centroids to, say, a certain set of node IDs, a certain set of nodes. For example, you selected only the nodes that are nodes for collector and local streets, and because you don't want to add a centroid connector to a freeway node, for example, which would be not a good practice. You can select the nodes you want to use and say, hey, just use the selected nodes, just connect to my selected nodes. I don't have that in this exercise, so I'll leave this unchecked. My centroids layer is the centroids, and the ID field is this ID. I don't want, I'm not gonna set a maximum length for the length for my centroid connectors. If you want to set up, it has to be meters. I'm sorry for my British and US colleagues that would love to use miles or yards, this has to be set in meters. Could be a feature in the future to change this, but for now it's just easier to leave it hard coded. And you can also choose to how many center connectors you want per centroid. I put it up to 20 here. I didn't see a reason. Even 20 seems a rather large number to me. If you need more than that, a really small tweak in the tool allows you to do that. Let me know if you don't know how to do it, but you really know this, and I can help you with that. So I set my link layer, set my node layer, set my centroid layer, the name of my new line layer, the name of my new node layer, and I'll just run. So I'm going to duplicate the layers. I'm going to create a spatial index for all the nodes in my network. And then I'm going to start adding the center connectors. Adding the center connectors is incredibly fast after you're done. I'm going to close here. And let's open my layers that I just created. So not to confuse anybody, I'm just going to turn off these layers. And let's add the new layers. It was my output. So final Sydney network and final Sydney nodes. I'm going to open them. Okay. So where I had my centroids. Now you don't have identified in my new nodes. You just have them added as all in the same field. You don't have identified which one is a centroid or it's not. So that's why I turned this off. You can see there that it was the centroid is there. That is a centroid. If you ask what is this network, you're going to see that what is this link? It's everything empty because you just added the link. A node 240, B node 25,199. So it's going, it's always drawing the center connectors from the centroid to the network, which is the convention I always used. If you have a different convention, you really need to change this. It's also really easy to change in the code. And that's it. Now you have a coded network for your purposes with center connectors and everything else. Just one thing you need to pay attention here. Link IDs are not field, neither are all the other fields. So you're going to need direction, link ID, and some field for length at a minimum to use AequilibraE to compute path. So if you're going that direction, after you finish adding center connectors, you have to go through all the fields you have and that you're going to use in the graph to create the graph and fill them out properly. So hope this was helpful. Please join AequilibraE at googlegroups.com. Access AequilibraE.com for the newest release. Join the conversation, contribute to the tool, and let's keep this conversation going. Thank you.